In early 2026, Mat Armstrong, a self-taught mechanic and former BMX rider, made headlines across the automotive world with a series of videos that captured both admiration and controversy. His latest project involved a Bugatti Chiron per Sport that had been written off after a severe accident. Unlike traditional repairs that take place in specialized factories with teams of engineers and expensive equipment, Mat chose a different approach. Using only basic garage tools and his own ingenuity, he began dismantling and rebuilding the car in a home garage. This move directly challenged the norms established by high-end car manufacturers, who insist that such work should only be done in official facilities due to the extreme safety risks involved. While some viewers celebrated Mat's initiative as a testament to independent repair and mechanical skill, others warned about the dangers of mishandling such high-performance vehicles. Despite these mixed reactions, the videos spread rapidly, capturing the attention of both enthusiasts and industry insiders. The story was not just about fixing a car. It was about questioning the limits of ownership, manufacturer control, and access to repair knowledge. By taking on the Chiron, Mat Armstrong positioned himself as a bridge between the right-to-repair movement, which has grown from electronics and agriculture into automotive circles, and the exclusive world of hypercars. His videos clearly show that rebuilding a hypercar is not simply a technical challenge, but a test of determination, resourcefulness, and courage. Mat Armstrong's journey began far from the world of million-dollar vehicles. Initially a BMX rider, Mat suffered injuries that forced him off the bike. Instead of giving up, he turned his focus to mechanics, teaching himself through trial, error, and online research. Over time, he became known for rebuilding cars that were considered beyond repair, documenting every step for his growing YouTube audience. What makes Mat's approach unique is his methodical, transparent process. He avoids attacking brands or individuals, instead focusing on problems, solutions, and the mechanics of each repair. He buys salvage cars at a fraction of their original cost, often facing challenges that official repair shops cannot avoid. Factory parts are frequently denied, software modules are locked, and essential technical data is restricted. Yet, Mat's philosophy is simple. If a car belongs to the owner, they should have the right to repair it. This aligns closely with the global right-to-repair movement, which has been pushing for broader access to parts, tools, and repair instructions, especially in the European Union and the United States. By applying these principles to hypercars from Bugatti, Ferrari, and Lamborghini, Mat confronts a world where manufacturers tightly control access to almost every component, from carbon fiber structures to proprietary software, creating a dramatic tension between freedom and control. The Bugatti rebuild serves as a defining example of this tension. The Chiron per Sport, after a serious accident, was sold on the salvage market at a fraction of its original value. Official support was minimal, with critical components withheld, and estimates suggesting that a factory repair could cost up to $1.7 million. Even more complicated, the car's VIN was reportedly blocked from factory systems, effectively rendering it invisible to the official channels. Mat, undeterred, took on the challenge, documenting the dismantling of the monocoque, a process that normally requires specialized factory equipment. He used standard supports, improvised methods, and basic tools, carefully reconstructing the car step by step. The rebuild captured the imagination of automotive enthusiasts worldwide, sparking debate over safety, access, and ownership. Critics argue that only factory-trained specialists should touch a hypercar, emphasizing the extreme performance and risks involved. Supporters praise Mat for proving that ownership can include the ability to repair, modify, and restore even the most exclusive vehicles. The climax of this project came when the Chiron's engine roared to life for the first time outside official systems, a powerful demonstration that determination and skill could overcome extreme restrictions. This rebuild not only showcased Mat's talent, but also highlighted how much control manufacturers maintain over their products long after sale is completed. Following the Bugatti project, Mat turned his attention to Ferrari. His next target was a crashed 296 GTB, which he intended not only to restore, but to transform into a track-capable road car. This rebuild presented new challenges, as the Ferrari relied heavily on electronic systems that restricted key functions without factory authorization. Requests for critical components were denied, and Mat even received a legal-style warning to cease work. This marked a significant escalation, highlighting the extent to which manufacturers can control not only physical access to parts, but also the software that enables a car to function fully. Despite these obstacles, Mat persisted, showing his audience that the right to repair debate was no longer theoretical. It was happening in real time. Fans speculated about Ferrari's possible inspiration for Mat's concept, further fueling online discussions. Community reactions ranged from support for independent repair to concerns about legal and safety risks, demonstrating the divide between traditionalists who prioritize factory control and modern owners who value autonomy. The Ferrari case intensified the discussion about ownership access and the growing importance of repair rights in the hypercar industry. In addition to Bugatti and Ferrari, Mat Armstrong has worked on Lamborghini models, including the Gallardo and Murcielago, facing similar but less intense challenges. While parts are sometimes easier to obtain and public pushback is lower, restrictions still exist, requiring creative problem-solving and indirect sourcing. These projects reveal a consistent pattern. Luxury car manufacturers enforce tight control over their vehicles under the guise of safety and brand protection, while owners and independent mechanics strive for autonomy and practical access. Across multiple brands, this dynamic illustrates a deeper industry-wide philosophy. The control of parts, software, and repair processes is both a revenue source and a means of protecting brand image and exclusivity. By documenting his work, Mat Armstrong forces these companies into public view, exposing the tension between commercial interests and individual rights. His transparency, methodical documentation, and avoidance of personal attacks lend credibility to his position, making him a respected figure in the right-to-repair conversation. The implications of Mat's work extend beyond individual rebuilds. As the right-to-repair movement gains traction in legislation, companies like Bugatti, Ferrari, and Lamborghini may be pressured to allow limited access to parts, software, and repair instructions. 3 potential scenarios emerge. First, legal escalation could define the limits of ownership for high-performance vehicles. Second, partial compromise might allow independent repairs through certified channels. Third, regulatory intervention could enforce broader access to repair knowledge, fundamentally shifting control from manufacturers to owners. In all cases, Mat Armstrong's work challenges assumptions about ownership and access, demonstrating that even the most exclusive hypercars are not immune to the debate over who truly controls a product once it is sold. The story of Mat Armstrong and his rebuilds is more than a series of technical achievements. It is a real-time examination of ownership, responsibility, and freedom in the highest tier of the automotive world. Each project forces the industry, the community, and regulators to reconsider the rules that have long governed high-performance vehicles. As the right-to-repair movement continues to grow, Mat's videos will remain a defining case study of how passion, skill, and determination can confront even the most rigid corporate control. Mat Armstrong's story is as unusual as the cars he rebuilds. Once a passionate BMX rider, he suffered injuries that forced him to reconsider his path. Rather than leaving the world of performance and speed, Mat redirected his energy toward mechanics. With no formal training, he began learning through trial and error, online resources, and hands-on experience. Over time, he developed the skills to repair and rebuild vehicles many considered irreparable. Unlike conventional mechanics, Mat does not rely on factory approvals, expensive machines, or specialized equipment. Instead, he tackles challenges using ingenuity, standard garage tools, and careful observation. His rise coincides with the growing global conversation about the right to repair, a movement advocating for consumers to access parts, manuals, and repair information without depending solely on manufacturers. Mat has become the face of this movement in the hypercar world, bridging the gap between legal theory and practical application. Through his YouTube videos, he documents every step, showing both the triumphs and obstacles of rebuilding ultra-expensive vehicles. His work captures attention not just for the technical challenge, but for the philosophical questions it raises. When you buy a car, do you truly own it, or are you limited by the manufacturer's control over parts, software, and service? The Chiron Per Sport rebuild was the project that drew the world's eyes to Mat Armstrong. After a serious accident, the car was declared a total loss and sold on the salvage market for a fraction of its original value. Official support from Bugatti was minimal. Critical parts were withheld. The car's VIN was reportedly blocked from factory systems, and internal estimates suggested that repairing the car through official channels could cost nearly $1.7 million. Undeterred, Matt began dismantling the monocoque in his own garage, documenting every step with detailed videos. This task, normally requiring factory-approved machinery and engineers, was undertaken with improvised supports and basic tools. The rebuild became a lightning rod for debate. Supporters praised Matt's skill and determination, arguing that owners should be able to repair what they legally own. Critics expressed concern for safety, pointing out that a misstep in a hypercar's structure could lead to catastrophic failure. Despite the tension, Matt's meticulous documentation reassured viewers that the work was thoughtful and precise. The culmination of the project came when the engine was fired for the first time outside official systems, proving that a salvage car could return to life without factory oversight. This achievement sparked discussion about ownership control and the limits imposed by manufacturers, highlighting the conflict between independent repairers and hypercar companies. Following Bugatti, Mat Armstrong took on a Ferrari 296 GTB, a car he aimed to transform into a track-capable road vehicle. This project presented new and complex obstacles. Unlike older models, the 296 GTB relies heavily on electronic systems that limit functionality without factory authorization. Requests for critical components were denied, and Matt received a legal style notice to cease his work. The stakes were higher, the restrictions stricter, and the tension more public. Fans debated whether Ferrari's enforcement of software restrictions and legal pressure was fair or overly controlling. Some speculated that Ferrari's design of a new high-performance variant may have drawn inspiration from Matt's ideas, although there was no official confirmation. The public reaction was intense, with thousands of comments supporting Matt, urging legal action or cautioning about risks. This rebuild highlighted the gap between ownership and manufacturer control, raising broader questions about whether consumers can truly exercise their rights once they purchase a high-performance vehicle. Matt continued to document every step, demonstrating that while factory control is extensive, it is not absolute. His videos became case studies in independent repair, software limitations, and the ethical debate surrounding corporate control of physical and digital vehicle systems. Mat Armstrong has also worked on Lamborghini vehicles, including the Gallardo and Murcielago. While the public disputes and media attention are lower compared to Bugatti and Ferrari, these rebuilds still demonstrate the challenges of independent repair. Parts can be difficult to source. Some components require indirect channels, and official inspections are often necessary. In one notable case, a Murcielago rebuilt by Matt was sold to a buyer who later claimed it was undrivable due to missing parts. Matt responded quickly, offering to buy back the vehicle and clarifying that the car's condition was transparent. This situation highlights the nuances of accountability in independent rebuilds and shows that challenges are not limited to manufacturer restrictions, but also involve communication and responsibility between buyers and rebuilders. Even with fewer controversies, Lamborghini rebuilds reinforce the broader pattern. Manufacturers use control over parts, software, and inspections to protect brand image and revenue, while independent mechanics like Matt demonstrate the feasibility and value of alternative repair approaches. Mat Armstrong's rebuilds are part of a larger movement advocating for the right to repair. Originating in electronics and agriculture, this movement argues that consumers should have access to parts, manuals, and repair knowledge. High-performance vehicles like Bugatti, Ferrari, and Lamborghini have traditionally restricted access to protect brand image, maintain revenue from parts and service, and ensure safety. However, Matt's projects expose the tension between control and ownership. As his videos gain attention, they spark debate about the extent to which manufacturers should limit repairs and modifications. Supporters argue that legal ownership should confer the right to fix and restore a vehicle. Critics stress safety, engineering precision, and resale value. This debate extends beyond the hypercar world, influencing legislation in regions such as the European Union and the United States, where right-to-repair laws are expected to expand access to parts and technical information. Matt's work acts as both a practical demonstration and a public argument for greater ownership rights, challenging a system that has long prioritized corporate control over consumer autonomy. The impact of Mat Armstrong's rebuilds extends far beyond individual cars. They force manufacturers to consider the balance between control, safety, and customer rights. 3 likely scenarios emerge for the future. First, legal escalation could define the limits of ownership for hypercars, potentially resulting in landmark cases that set precedent for independent repair. Second, manufacturers may offer limited compromise, creating certified repair channels or restricted parts access to appease public demand while maintaining core control. Third, regulatory intervention could enforce broader access to repair knowledge, fundamentally shifting power from manufacturers to vehicle owners. Each scenario emphasizes the evolving tension between corporate control and consumer rights. Mat's work illustrates that ownership is not just about possession, but about the ability to maintain, repair, and modify a product. As high-performance vehicles continue to integrate digital systems, the discussion about software restrictions, proprietary parts, and right-to-repair laws becomes increasingly relevant. Mat Armstrong's projects demonstrate that practical, transparent rebuilds can coexist with safety and innovation, serving as a model for how independent repair can challenge outdated systems without compromising quality. What Mat Armstrong has achieved is remarkable not just for technical skill, but for the broader implications of his work. Each rebuild, Bugatti, Ferrari, Lamborghini, shows the limits of manufacturer control and the potential of independent repair. His careful documentation, transparency, and focus on problem-solving provide credibility, while his persistence sparks debate about ownership, safety, and legality. The right-to-repair movement, reinforced by Mat's work, is reshaping how enthusiasts, regulators, and manufacturers think about high-performance vehicles. Consumers now face a critical question. When you buy a hypercar, do you own it completely, or are you simply purchasing limited access controlled by manufacturers? Mat Armstrong's rebuilds prove that ownership can be more than theoretical. It can be exercised, tested, and expanded through skill, determination, and public discussion. By challenging long-held conventions, he is not just restoring cars. He is redefining the boundaries of ownership, responsibility, and freedom in the automotive world. His work will continue to influence debates, legislation, and industry practices for years to come, marking a pivotal moment in the history of hypercars and consumer rights. Mat Armstrong's work has sparked a debate that goes far beyond the individual cars he rebuilds, reaching into the heart of what ownership means in the hypercar industry. Every project, from the Bugatti Chiron Sport to Ferrari 296 GTB, and even his Lamborghini rebuilds, exposes a delicate balance between the rights of the owner and the control exerted by the manufacturer. These are not ordinary vehicles. They are million-dollar machines built for extreme performance, often incorporating highly specialized materials, precision engineering, and sophisticated electronic systems that can only be fully accessed with factory software or proprietary tools. Manufacturers like Bugatti, Ferrari, and Lamborghini have traditionally maintained tight control over every aspect of these vehicles, from structural components to software functionality, arguing that safety, brand reputation, and resale value depend on strict oversight. However, Mat's approach challenges this paradigm. By demonstrating that a skilled, careful mechanic can restore, modify, and even enhance these cars outside official channels, he raises critical questions. Should ownership mean complete control over a product, or are buyers merely granted access under conditions set by the manufacturer? The controversy deepens when considering software restrictions, which effectively prevent vehicles from functioning fully without factory authorization. In the Ferrari 296 GTB rebuild, this became a central issue, as critical modules could not be activated without legal and technical intervention from the company, demonstrating how digital control is now as important as physical parts. Mat's videos show that these barriers can be navigated not recklessly, but with methodical planning, transparency, and skill, which sparks both admiration and fear among viewers. Admirers see him as a pioneer, someone who empowers consumers and illustrates the practical implications of the right-to-repair movement, showing that legal ownership should translate into practical ability to maintain and restore. Critics, however, worry about safety and potential liability, questioning whether even a meticulous rebuild can match the standards of factory-trained engineers and specialized equipment. Beyond public opinion, Mat's projects also highlight the economic realities that underpin manufacturer control. Parts revenue is significant, often far exceeding production cost, and restricting access helps maintain pricing power and brand exclusivity. High-end brands rely on this model not just for profit, but to control quality perception and protect the value of their cars in a volatile market where resale price is deeply tied to official service records. As Matt continues to rebuild, document, and challenge these limitations, he is effectively forcing both consumers and manufacturers to confront a fundamental question: who truly owns a product after purchase? The implications reach further than automotive enthusiasts. Legislation in the European Union and the United States is beginning to reflect this debate. Right to repair regulations, initially designed for electronics and agricultural equipment, are now being adapted to high-performance vehicles, pushing manufacturers to reconsider how much control is reasonable and how much access owners should legally have. If such laws are enforced at scale, they could redefine the hypercar industry, ensuring that even the most expensive vehicles can be repaired and modified by the rightful owner, not just those approved by the factory. Mat Armstrong's work therefore sits at the intersection of technical skill, consumer rights, and legal precedent, showing that the ownership of a car is no longer simply a financial transaction. It is a social, legal, and technical relationship between the buyer, the machine, and the company that built it. Each rebuild becomes more than a project. It becomes a statement, a challenge to decades of established control, and a demonstration that determination, transparency, and knowledge can shift power from manufacturers to consumers. As his videos circulate globally, the discussions they spark on YouTube, Reddit, and beyond reflect a growing awareness that ownership, particularly of high-performance machines, may never be the same again, and that what Mat Armstrong is doing is redefining the boundaries of what it means to truly own a car. The situation surrounding Mat Armstrong does not exist in a vacuum. It is part of a growing movement that challenges how luxury and hypercar brands operate behind the scenes. While the public often sees these vehicles as symbols of wealth, status, and engineering perfection, very few understand the tight network of control that governs them once they leave the factory. From Bugatti to Ferrari, Lamborghini, and even Rolls-Royce, manufacturers have implemented layers of restrictions that touch every aspect of the car's life cycle. Access to replacement parts, official repair procedures, software modules, and certification processes. Mat's projects peel back this curtain, showing not only that these barriers exist, but also that they can be navigated with knowledge, skill, and transparency. In doing so, he forces a conversation about fairness, autonomy, and consumer rights, particularly at a level where vehicles cost hundreds of thousands, or even millions, of dollars. The reactions are predictable yet significant. Some critics claim that independent rebuilds risk catastrophic failures, arguing that these cars are designed for extreme speeds, acceleration, and precision, and even the smallest deviation in a rebuild could have deadly consequences. However, supporters point out that manufacturer restrictions are not purely about safety. They also protect revenue streams and brand perception. A poorly repaired car might reduce the value of the brand, impact resale prices, and disrupt the carefully constructed image of exclusivity that high-end automakers cultivate. Mat Armstrong's work exposes this tension, revealing that ownership of a hypercar is conditional rather than absolute. Each rebuild, whether it is a Chiron, the Ferrari 296, or a Lamborghini Murcielago, acts as a case study, demonstrating that expertise, careful planning, and documentation can restore functionality and even improve the vehicle while circumventing the strictest of manufacturer controls. Beyond individual cars, this debate touches on global legislative trends. The European Union's right to repair directives, along with increasing pressure from U.S. lawmakers, highlight a growing acknowledgement that consumers should have practical access to the products they legally purchase. In other words, ownership may soon come with legal backing that guarantees repair rights, a shift that could redefine not only hypercars but all luxury machinery dependent on proprietary systems. Mat Armstrong's efforts, therefore, are more than a personal journey. They are part of a social and legal experiment, testing the boundaries of corporate control, consumer autonomy, and technological dependence. The broader industry is paying attention. Manufacturers cannot ignore the combination of public scrutiny, regulatory pressure, and a vocal, highly engaged online community. As discussions on forums, social media, and news outlets intensify, each rebuild becomes more than a mechanical feat. It becomes a symbolic struggle over who truly holds power, the manufacturer or the owner. Mat's meticulous documentation and methodical approach give him credibility, showing that his work is not reckless experimentation, but carefully considered problem-solving. This transparency contrasts sharply with the secrecy and restricted access enforced by brands, highlighting the fundamental difference between corporate control and consumer empowerment. The ripple effect is visible. Discussions about software restrictions, parts availability, and legal ownership are no longer confined to garages and repair shops. They have entered mainstream